you for your birthday was a hay bale, can of gasoline, but they wouldn't let me send it.
Oh, shit.
Welcome to A Bold and Distant Future. We are the underprepared and overproduced disaster podcast. Welcome you all here to hear us and join us in our discussion of what happened this week. And so much happened. It was a very busy week.
Yeah, it was. And the week's not over yet.
And it's not even over. I know tonight, as we were saying before the show, that tonight is the last episode of Colbert, which we'll talk about next week. Maybe a bit if there's any, thing of note that happens there. It's just sort of the loss of that voice. I find very disturbing in a way,
Hopefully he'll bounce back. Hopefully they'll find a venue for him.
I think he'll do something and contribute.
He's got a movie project happening with a couple of folks that is based in his love of Lord of the Rings.
Huh.
That's great.
Think about your retirement and your ability in retirement to, number one, not have to live by a schedule that someone else appoints, and then being able to, as I like to say it, dream big.
Yeah.
Yeah, think positively.
Follow your bliss, finally.
Yeah.
Well, this is not blissful at all, but the live tracker finally came back after almost 2 weeks of not being posted on the Al Jazeera website. They came up, and it looks like the numbers of casualties in Iran has remained the same, has not jumped up. But in Lebanon, it has jumped up from 2,702 to 3,042. That's like 300 plus people this last week or two were killed in Lebanon. So
it's interesting that we're not getting much about what's going on except for Trump's waffling.
Yeah.
And of course his bluster, you better be ready. Whatever he said this week, I can't even remember what it was. It was another thinly masked threat.
So, Lebanon. We touched on this last time. What exactly is the U.S. role in Lebanon right now? What are we doing?
Nothing. Think we're just supplying the weaponry, and Israel's doing all the targeting and everything, is my understanding. Well, it turns out this image is a fake.
That's unfortunate.
I'll have a disclaimer up there. I might make this the thumbnail anyway, but it is a faked image. Found it out on Snopes.
Yeah, look how big Trump's hands are in that picture.
One can dream.
That almost looks like the same arm for all three of them.
Yeah, it's like the same hand.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You're right.
Kind of photoshopped in.
You're right.
Yeah, now that you mention it, and the arms look peculiarly short.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. The hands are bigger, but the arms are short. What happened here?
Did you see Vladimir Putin made his visit to China? And when he did, the same kids were jumping up and down that were jumping up and down for Trump. It's like the same choreographed group of kids. Putin, and you want to know some more, there's an interesting movie coming out, The Wizard of the Kremlin, starring Jude Law as Vladimir Putin and Paul Dano as sort of a PR financial guy that works with Putin. Looks like a very interesting movie, and they say that Jude Law is really excellent as Putin, just like a probably Oscar contending kind of performance.
Interesting.
The Wizard of the Kremlin.
Interesting poster. I assume it's meant to look like it's incredibly faded and from another era. So, yeah, if that's the case, if this is intentional, it's brilliant. Other than that, it's hideous.
Well, the Donald J. Trump and Jeffrey Epstein Memorial Reading Room opened in New York City.
Oh, yeah.
What?
If you go there, you can, I think they're having continuous live readings at a microphone where you can probably even yourself volunteer to read portions of the Epstein files. I've seen some pictures. There's a couple here where there's like a timeline on the wall. Epstein and Trump's sort of, friendship.
Are any of those readings going to go up online, you think?
There could be. I mean, I think it's just more of kind of an informal thing.
Yeah.
This is it's like
I
a
just
wall
think
of all
how
the files.
interesting would that be,
Wow.
A lot of it could be kind of grueling, and it's almost kind of like a performance art installation piece. People are going there.
Yeah, it'd be fun to see what's being, pronounced from the files. Where is you said New York City?
wait a
But
minute.
do we know where in New York City?
I'm sure it'd be easy enough to find. But that's what
The other big question I have is, are the files redacted or unredacted?
I think they're still kind of
What they
redacted.
have.
I think they're.
Talking about files, I was wondering this. This occurred to me last night. When we're talking about files, what are we talking about exactly? These are all emails. These are texts. These are actual paper documents. Combination of the above.
Everything. I think it's some of them are videos.
I believe
some
it's
of
a
them,
combination of the above, yeah.
Yeah, there's still
I mean,
quite a
obviously,
bit.
the birthday card wasn't an email.
Well, there you go. Okay, yeah, that answers the question. Thank you. So they have boxes of this crap.
They do. Here's a video too.
You'll see some interesting things, and I'll show that to you in a
There's
second.
a countdown happening.
I'll show that to you in a
Oh,
second.
this. Oh, my God.
It's the facade of the building. There will never be another building like this built. That I can tell. I built a lot of great things, but there will never be anything like this built. And what we have is the roof is dead flat with absolutely nothing but strength on it. It's very strong steel. It's drone proof, and it's meant for our military to be able to stay on it. You get a view of Washington. Also, for the drone building capacity, some of that takes place right down here. You can see the very large piping and the other things. It's a very complex building. It's all knit
Could you
together.
repeat
The
that?
roof goes with
The roof goes with the ground floor, the ground floor goes with the roof?
Well, as
roof also
Colbert
goes
pointed
down
out
into
last
the
night, those are
basement.
called
Everything is
walls.
connected, intertwined.
Yeah.
Elevators, heating, air conditioning.
Imagine
It's one
the
building.
roof
That's
being
why we're
connected
trying
all the way to the
explain
ground
that.
floor in the
This is
basement.
one well-knit building. One thing doesn't work without the other. Very importantly, though, in terms of the beauty, probably the closest thing to this would be the
Sucked
U.S.
you in,
Supreme
man.
Court, the facade of the U.S. Supreme Court. So here's a couple of.
This guy's a consummate salesman.
How are you? All right. There will never be another thing like this, I don't believe, built from a cost standpoint.
So
This is all.
it's as if he's building a private bunker military encampment right there next to the White House so he can.
It's like he's selling us a bunker encampment right next to the White House. I mean, he's literally there doing a pitch.
Oh yeah, he's trying to get people on board with this great idea of his.
76 trombones. Just saying.
That's a good analogy, man.
Done
My
one of these.
two favorite musicals.
Yeah.
Actually, three favorite musicals, which basically means one of the three musicals I can stand to watch.
Well, it's important to also consider that I believe the billion-dollar security package that was going to be tacked on to the Homeland Security thing they're trying to push through has not been approved. Actually, they're talking about dropping it from the bill so that they can get the rest of it through.
So, what was the point of this presentation? I mean,
Exactly
they don't
what you,
yet.
it's
Yeah.
exactly what you just said. He's trying to sell the public. We really want our tax dollars to go to this, don't we?
Yeah, the ballroom is not popular for obvious reasons, but I think there's something way more sinister involved. It's just this, as he said, it's like this drone-proof building that can encamp. I mean, they say it's a ballroom, but it can house soldiers. They're going to have military up on top. They'll have a view. Maybe they'll have weaponry mounted on top. It just seems very, very...
Like they don't do that already.
But this is just much more...
Overt
Yeah.
and visible. I mean, if you go to the mall in Washington, D.C., you can pretty much assume that, there's a sniper on a roof tracking you.
What do you think? Maybe it's the command center of the Golden Dome.
The Golden Dome. I'm sorry.
You heard it here first.
So who will be there? I mean, if he's got the U.S. Army and Marines, stationed in that building, not all of them are Trump loyalists. Who will he have in that building that would be his private army,
Well, that slush fund that we're going to be talking about at some point?
Ah.
The Democratic Senator, I believe is Senator Raskin, R-A-S-K-I-N,
Yeah.
from Maryland, apparently mentioned the possibility of forming his own private militia.
Cool.
Like a mercenary army or just Trump loyalists?
Just Trump loyalists, his own black shirts.
Right.
So I haven't read the statement. I saw a reference to it in that link that I sent you guys.
We'll take a look at it. Hey, this is the portion of the show where we can talk about the California race for governor. And I wanted to officially announce that the Bold and Distant Future endorsement for Javier Becerra. And
Yeah.
I did hear a couple of interesting things just yesterday that Robert Reich is supporting Tom Steyer, which I was like, oh God.
Here's the thing.
What's up?
And I've already said this to you guys. You've got 62 people on the ballot. 25 of them are Democrats. 12 are Republicans. Everybody else is green or peace and freedom or undeclared, right?
Mm-hmm.
The top 10, you have 8 Democrats and 2 Republicans. And if the public spreads out their vote, even between the top 10, let's say 90% of the vote goes to the top 10, if you have the Democratic ticket spread out between the front runner, who is Becerra, and the rest of the crew, you end up with a Republican ticket. Because Hilton's only a couple of points behind Becerra, along with Steyer, by the way. But the even more frightening thing is that Chad Bianca, who is nothing but acid and vinegar, I'm not even joking, that guy's just scary to listen to, is only a couple of points behind those two. So imagine an all-Republican ticket with Hilton and Bianca as our possibilities for the next governor, because we couldn't decide who needed to be the front runner of this race, and everybody's ego is tied up, and their money, of course, tied up in what they're doing. And so the vote gets spread out so much that the Republicans get to have a clean shot at the next governorship of California. How scary could that be?
Yeah, pretty
Be
scary.
terrible.
Well, Yasmin Crockett, interesting person, she lent her support to Becerra. Now, I put up these just for informational sake because it's a listing of all the primaries state by state. And here we are, May 19th this week was Alabama, Georgia, Idaho, Kentucky, Oregon,
Big
and
day.
Pennsylvania.
That's a big day right there.
Yeah, but these will flow by. But one of the sad ones was that guy in Kentucky, Thomas Massey, who's a Republican who went against Trump and has been, big voice against Trump and, holding the Epstein files back. He lost because they
Right.
put up another guy. Trump backed another person in Kentucky. He was a
I'm sure there was
congressman.
plenty of PAC money thrown at the other guy,
Right.
which is how Trump won. We know who threw the money.
So California's coming up. So we'll continue to watch these primaries as closely as we can.
California, Iowa, and Montana. Wow, same day. That's another big day. Iowa. Yeah.
Oh, the Virgin Islands. Yeah, we got
Well,
a
the
while.
Is August when the last primaries are going to be, or did they go further
I think
than
there's
this?
one more in September.
Wow.
Hmm.
Looks like the 4th is going to be another big day.
Yeah, there you are.
Yeah,
Oh,
there's
man.
Rhode Island.
Delaware, my dad's birthday.
Huh.
state by state.
So that's the new date that Louisiana's put up after doing the redistricting, I assume. Is that the case?
I think
know?
it could be, yes.
Wow.
So they're going to do their primary. How do they do a primary and a general election on the same day?
Yeah, I was about to ask.
How does that work?
Yeah.
You have to go to the poll twice. Do the primary from 9 to 12, and then the general from 1 to 6.
Yeah, what could go wrong there, huh?
They'll have to have a timestamp.
And we'll see. I mean, of course, everyone's worried about ICE agents being out near polling places,
And that is a day that regular citizens who are concerned about that should also be out at the polls, preferably with water, because as I understand it, I think that's illegal.
It's I don't know if I would want to go to a polling place on that day because that might escalate things, I don't know. Well, here's the slush fund, Trump's $1.8 billion slush fund. And
I like that. I like that headline. It's worse than stealing.
I don't think it's official yet that he's got the money, is it? It still could be shut down or voted down in some way, can't it?
Well, it's already in the courts, or will be in the courts.
Mm-hmm.
In that a group of the Capitol policemen who were at the riots at the Capitol on January 6th are suing Trump and the Department of Justice to prevent this from happening.
Because
we're going to have to rename the Department of Justice somehow if this goes through.
The Department of Injustice?
Well, that's fairly obvious. We can do better than that. Department of Kleptocracy, I don't know. So I got something up here. I just want to read this, if it's okay.
Please.
Go your own.
Here are the key terms of the agreement. Once the money is transferred to a 5-person panel, the U.S. government no longer has control over it. Currently, there's supposed to be a 5-person panel that is going to be accountable for how this is going to be spent. The panel will be allowed to make up its own procedures for awarding the funds, including decisions about who can apply, what they need to do to make a claim, and how much the victim will receive. The panel can also decide on a case-by-case basis how much evidence is needed in the support of a claim. The claim itself is enough to be awarded money. The committee can decide if additional evidence is needed. The decisions of the panel cannot be challenged by appeal, arbitration, or judicial review. All decisions are final. The panel has no duty to make its deliberations or decisions public. The only requirement is that it submit a report once per quarter to somebody named Blanche,
Yeah,
Blanche, who can then choose whether or not to share the report with the general public. He says he expects to do so.
But he can be bought.
Who the hell's Blanche?
Todd Blanche replaced Pam Bondi when she left. He's the acting head of the DOJ. And that's him right there on the left.
Oh, there. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
seeing it. The 5-person panel will be appointed by Blanche, whose sole concern is pleasing his boss. Any member who does not live up to the responsibilities can be fired directly by Trump. So, yeah. This article I'm reading is comparing this to the T-Top Dome, Abscam, Credit Mobilier, Halliburton,
Oh, God.
and saying this is worse than all of them.
It's all because he did that $10 billion lawsuit he was going to bring because his tax information was leaked, actually. But then he dropped that suit, and then this is kind of the follow-up to that.
So this is a settlement.
But let's just hope it gets shut down. It's ridiculous, because that would buy him his private army, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Pretty much pay for anybody's private army. You and I could jointly have that. private army.
Well, you want to consider how much has been spent on the Iran war to date, which is approaching 30 billion? So 2 billion wouldn't get you very far, just saying. The bigger issue for me is immunity from any prosecution for any tax, anything at a later date.
Yeah, he can't be audited.
That
But
is mind-blowing. And one can only imagine how that could be abused by certain individuals.
one can pretty much predict how it will be abused by certain individuals.
Yeah.
Well, this happened in Selma, Alabama. It was the 61st anniversary of the march across the Edmund Pettus Bridge. And the fellow there in the middle with the white shirt, his name is Justin Pearson, and he's a current Tennessee state representative. There were some things going on in Tennessee this week where they were burning a Confederate flag in the state capitol and other kinds of acts of political theater in a way that we'll look at. But people, this is going to, all of this counter reaction to the redistricting, here he is, Justin Pearson. All this stuff is kind of going to build support against Trump, and kind of like a Black Lives Matter movement is forming.
Did you happen to take a look at that thing I posted about states who are adopting a posture of not approving the Electoral College?
No, I didn't see that.
I put it up on our feed, which, by the way, I think maybe we should change our feed to Signal, as I understand it, a lot less permanent. But there are a significant number of states who have adopted this. And this is just quietly going on behind the scenes. But they're more hopeful is that there's not that many states that would be left, so that there would be 270 votes to shit-can the electoral college, and that would really put people back in the driver's seat.
Right.
One man, one vote.
Interesting.
You know what I mean? It is interesting, and I think it would be really good for the country at this point in our history.
Well, we certainly have a basis to get rid of it, but I always worry about unintentional consequences.
Yeah, but on the other hand, you can consider that a third of the country voted this current administration in, and the other 2/3 are suffering the consequences.
You see, that's the thing. The Electoral College is there to prevent something like this from happening.
But apparently it didn't work.
It didn't work. And I think that's where we have to start digging and trying to understand what happened with the Electoral College that allowed it to fail in its primary, responsibility.
A big part of the problem is that roughly a third or 30% of the American public has just said, screw it, I'm not voting anymore.
Well, that's been going on for all my life. We never
Right.
have full
And why is that happening? Because they don't feel their vote counts for anything.
They don't see the relevance.
Right,
Nothing changes regardless of who they vote for, so why bother?
right.
I'm not saying that's true. I'm basically just, that's,
That is the
it's
mindset.
just another load of bullshit in life that is already filled to the brim.
That was surprising to me when I went to a college campus once to register people to vote. And many said, what's the point? What's the difference? These are young people. They're like first year or two in college, telling me they already felt shut out to the point that voting was useless.
Well,
like,
I'm going to
man.
confess that there was a point in time when I did the same thing. I just said there's no point to it, and I didn't vote for, 2 or 3 elections.
All right. Uh-oh. The cops are coming, guys. I've got to
Oh,
duck down.
that's good. I thought I was here.
The police are breaking us up
Uh-oh.
already.
They're right outside your door. Run, run, Roy.
Delete the files.
That's right.
Just
Burn
remember,
the computer.
you can remain silent. You don't have to let them in without a warrant signed by a judge.
I won't. No one's getting in.
No one's getting in. Yep.
These are dark times, and it's one of the reasons why I started this channel, and and we run it the way we do, because who knows where we're headed.
Well, I think we can posit a guess.
They could be knocking on our doors soon. Anyway. Hey, I want to thank you guys for being here today and trying to make some sense of this week's worth of news. I would like to talk more about changing to Signal, but let's talk about that maybe after the show. But thank you for being here, and we'll see you next week, and we'll see what's occurred. What were we going to talk about next week? There was something that I needed to bring up. No worries. Take care. Have a nice time. Thank you for anyone listening to A Bold and Distant Future. Peace.
All right. Peace.
Peace.